What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the garage. Welcome back to another great video with everything Avery. Today we're going to be working on the Hyundai Accent once again. As you can tell, I kind of already got it up in the air. The front tires are off the ground. We're not going to be doing any maintenance to it today. We're going to be doing some much needed cosmetic upgrades. As you can see, this Hyundai Accent has definitely had some better days in the past. This front bumper is pretty much just being held on by a little bit of clips and some screws that are not supposed to be in the places they are. But as you can see, it's been hit a lot, cracked, dented. The front lower grille is not even connected, and I had to put in some extra screws here just to hold the bumper on from falling off while my wife drives. So that's what pretty much we're going to be doing today, is replacing this front bumper. Pretty much since the very first day we picked up this Accent, I knew I was going to be doing this project, but I didn't want to spend too much money right off the bat getting all the parts that I needed for this. So I started purchasing little things here and there along the way, and over the months the boxes just have been rolling in. So we got pretty much everything we need as far as what was damaged on the vehicle, all the little clips that hold on the bumpers, things that are underneath the headlights, of course the under splash guards. We got the middle one here, as well as the two side ones underneath the wheel wells, and of course the entire bumper itself. One thing I found amazing about this bumper, guys, is this entire thing actually came in this box right here. This box is not big whatsoever. It's only about 5-6 inches wide and definitely nowhere near the full length of this bumper. The bumper actually came folded into three. It was folded left end over right, right over left, and it was squished inside that box. And like I said, I still don't know how they got it in there without damaging the paint. When I got it out the box, I laid it outside in the back in the sun, and it just pretty much unfolded like a blooming flower, which was crazy to see. And yeah, after I inspected all the paint, it was good to go. No chips, no cracks or anything. You're probably looking at it right now trying to figure out, what is all this on here? What is this dirt, dust, or debris? No, it's actually baby powder. If you can see there, comes right off. It's just baby powder. And what I believe they use that for is inside that box they had this actually wrapped with like a thin layer of foam or styrofoam, and that's what I pretty much think just protected the paint surface. It would just kind of smoothly slide around over the baby powder rather than rubbing back and forth on the paint itself, which once again was surprising. Learned something new, but it's working perfect. But first things first, guys, before we actually get all of our new parts installed on this vehicle, we have to obviously take off the old parts. So like I said earlier, I got the wheels up off the ground because we're actually going to take off the front tires to get better access to those wheel wells, because we do have replacement wheel well guards or splash guards, whatever you want to call them, and I don't want to have to try to squeeze in between the tire and the fender. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get my camera mounted up on my high-tech camera stand over here, and we'll get disassembling. Take off the front bumper. There's going to be 4 10mm screws right here across the top. So you'll simply remove those guys. So once you have those front 4 screws out, typically you would actually come up underneath where the wheel well is. There would be a screw right here, but unfortunately, because of the damage it already has, there's nothing there. So I guess when we put them back on, we'll actually see which ones we were missing. So simply at this point, all I need to do is just pull off from here. And then once again, typically there's a actual panel right here for your splash guard, and then there would be 2 screws, one here and one here, that you'd have to remove, but it's broken off, so I don't have to do that. One thing you guys won't have to do, or hopefully won't have to do, is remove these 2 screws here. Like I said, I had to put them there so the bumper doesn't fall off, because there's nothing holding it on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove these. And just like we did on the other side, guys, you will have a screw right here connected to the splash guard, as well as 2 more down here up underneath on the bottom that you'll have to remove. So don't forget to do that on both sides. And after that, that's pretty much the last thing you need to do to take this front bumper off. However, if you do have fog lights, be sure you disconnect them before you pull your bumper off. So first things first, you give it a tug over here next to the splash guard, and then tug up underneath the headlight, which is where another long bracket is. Just one side. And there's the other side. They weren't held on too good, so another reason why we're replacing it. Alright guys, now that we got the bumper off, here comes the fun part and the easy part. It's just going to be a little bit of time consuming. We got to take all these little bumper accessories off the old bumper, and then of course install them onto the new one. So I'm going to do all this in a time lapse. It's pretty simple. Pretty much it's just a bunch of Phillips screws and maybe a couple clips like this. You can buy this guy off of Amazon. I'll put a link down below, as well as I bought some specific ones which are supposed to be for Hyundais, specifically Accents. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and throw it on a time lapse, and I'll start swapping these parts over. Alright guys, so we just got it finished up, and just like I expected, it was easy, but it was just extremely time consuming. There was a couple of clips that I had to fidget around with the little snippers and the little pry bar, but we're done with that part. So we'll move our way inside the garage, and I think we'll jump onto the fender flares next, or maybe the underneath splash guard. Alright, so we made our way over to the driver's side wheel well or splash guard, and like I said before, this guy is damaged. It's missing a bunch of pieces, so I'm not too sure how many different screws I'm missing, but I do have a spare pack. So simply just like I did with the front bumper, I'm gonna go ahead and just take this off, take note of where all the screw locations are, and replace it with a new one. Got this panel off. Pretty much they were all just screws, or these little hand screws here that attach to these little nuts or studs that are here in the back. The only three things that you have to take note of is right here along the outside onto the fender. There's these little plastic clips which they have screws that screw into them. Well, you can't pull off the little wheel well until you pop out those little clips. So as you saw, I had to bend it up, get my hand to the back, and then just pinch these little two tabs together just to release it from the fender. Alright, so now we'll get rid of the old one, and we'll install the new one. We now have a new fender splash guard, and believe it or not, we weren't missing any screws. The broken part down here, there was actually nothing that it attaches to. The only part that was missing is this front part, which will go onto the bumper itself once we get to that part. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this to the other side, and then we'll meet back up in the middle for the center splash guard. So now the next splash guard I'm gonna replace, because as you can see right here, it's broken and totally damaged. So it's this middle one that we're gonna be doing. The new one's down there, and simply there's 5 10mm screws all the way across here. You can see this last one, which is exposed. So yeah, simply I'm just gonna remove those, take this off, and put the new one on. Now that we're done with all the splash guards, I made my way back over to the driver's side right here on the fender area, just underneath the headlight. I'm gonna go ahead and replace these little bumper brackets here. The way that this Hyundai Accent's bumper is designed, the main holding points are here, and the little clips that are actually on the bumper here that attach just underneath the headlight. So might as well, since I have everything off and went ahead and replaced everything else, might as well replace that. Alright, and there we go. We got the little brackets on both sides installed. As you can see here, nice and secure. So now finally we got all the splash guards on both the left and the right side, and the middle one done, as well as the 2 brackets on the side of the headlight. Finally, it is time to install the bumper. So I went ahead and just closed the garage real quick because it started getting cold as the sun was going down. But we are now ready to mount the bumper. There's not really many bolts you have to worry about when mounting this bumper. There's really only about 6 strong holding bolts, which the main 4 are the top 4 middle ones that we took off earlier. So that's exactly what we want to pay attention to when you're putting this back on. Just start by getting it nice and centered and lining up those 4 with the 4 holes. Alright, there we go. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to get the bumper, push it up underneath the headlight, and get it latched on both sides to the little brackets that we have just underneath the headlights and along the side of the fender. Don't be afraid to give it some love taps to make sure it seats properly. And there we go. Pretty much it's going to hold itself in place now. Next up, you just want to install those 4 10mm bolts along the top. Go ahead and get those tightened down, and we'll move down there to the bottom. And then after you get those 4 bolts down here on the sides where the splash guards are, you'll see there's a little gap right there, and that's where you're going to install another 10mm bolt, and it's going to go through the little bumper hole right here and then into the bracket on the fender. So go ahead and do that on both sides. And last but not least, you'll make your way underneath the vehicle And right here where the little flap on the wheel well splash guard is, you'll simply push that forward, and you'll see that there's going to be 2 holes that are going to line up for those little spinning clips here that you'll have to install. And yeah, simply all you do is just line it up, put those 2 in, and you're pretty much done. So here's the finished product, guys, and it looks amazing. I'm extremely excited. It looks perfect. The paint matches perfectly. I didn't think it was going to actually match because the bumper was extremely cheap and affordable. For all these parts that I purchased for this revamp or reinstallation, I'll put the links down below just in case you guys are interested in seeing or need to do something similar yourselves. Next up, probably just got to go get a car wash and get it nice and cleaned down, get the rest of the baby powder off. But overall, I'm extremely satisfied. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this video is now over. This project is complete for this 2014 Hyundai Accent. As always, guys, if this is your first time at the channel, hit that subscribe button below. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. We are almost there. At the time of filming this video, we are actually at 700 subscribers. That's way more than I ever expected to have, especially after starting this channel back up only 6 months ago. So thank you guys. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for all the comments and the likes and all the suggestions you guys have given me for these videos. Don't worry, this ain't the last one we're gonna be doing for this Hyundai Accent. We got plenty more to come. So be sure you hit.
I'm hungry.
But as always, hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications so you don't miss out. This has been Everything Avon. I'll see y'all in the next one.